everybody. My name is Nimare Bewu, or That African Butterfly, as I'm known on social media. I'm so excited. I have a great guest with me. Today, I have Miss Latoya Baker. We're going to talk all about this wonderful organization that she started. But before we do, can we just learn a little bit about you?
First off, thank you for having me, Namadi. I am honored to be here today to speak to you about my amazing organization. So, I am Latoya Baker. I am one of the founders of I Inc., which is a LGBT and allies nonprofit organization. It's like a wind taker. Hold on. We started in right at on in 2020. So we've been working ever since and having our festivals, our holiday parties, and just educating the community about what's going on in the LGBT community and educate the allies as well.
And we need that. I feel like so much of um, what people don't realize is the stuff that they don't know, right? People have a lot of misconceptions about things, and it's really just a lack of knowledge more than a lack of acceptance. So I love that your organization really works on educating people. How did it start? What made you start it?
Okay, so well, the actual founder, that put it all together is Piers. So you may know Piers McCoy. She's super popular, yeah. But she actually came to me with the idea because I actually been working as a assistant manager and stuff within the LGBT community. So that's actually how I met Piers. And I actually, before she came to me about it, I was noticing the unfairness that LGBT community face. So when she came to me with the idea of putting this nonprofit together, I was like, yeah, let's get out there and work. So yeah.
And now, is your program mostly with volunteers? How do you keep it afloat?
So we are currently we are looking for volunteers now. So actually, if anyone is interested, they could definitely come contact me. But we go as we go. People like to volunteer, and they contact us where you could sign up on the website to volunteer.
And what do you find are some of the more common challenges that people come to you with, or that people reach out to your organization for help with?
As far as from whom would it be from an LGBT person or allies perspective?
Let's do both. So we'll start with LGBTQ.
Okay, so the so basically what we bring, we like to bring people together and bring them in as family because you seem to see a lot of people, they don't have as much family and sometimes they may feel alone. That's not everybody, but they are some people that do come to us and have those issues. So we just like to bring them close to us and just try to point them in the right directions of where to go and how to receive, you know, assistance if needed.
And then
And the
what
same,
about, oh no, go ahead.
sorry, as far as the allies portion of it, right now we are trying to bring in more allies. But one of the things that we do when we educate the allies is our me seminar, which we have yearly. So we have a me seminar, we have a headliner, and one, I think one of them was James Baldwin. So we spoke about the important what James Baldwin brought, and you know, and brought and make you understand where he was coming from, which is some of the stuff that he was facing in, we're still facing right now, right? So we have a panel on the me seminar with each letter of the alphabet, the LGBTQ, and we have the allies in the audience and they have questions they ask. So we try to make them understand things that they don't understand because it's all about knowledge, right? Some people don't have that, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things we're trying to bring, that not trying, that we are bringing to the community, because we all just people, right? So we want everyone to understand that as well, because there's too much hate going on for no reason, for not understanding.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And that's, I think, for me, the frustrating part is that it's just like if people would open their minds up to learning more, they would see like the similarities and the differences, but not that the differences are bad. You
Right.
mentioned that you try to have someone from each of the different letters. Can you go over what the different letters are? Like, I think some people just hear alphabet soup when they hear all the
Okay.
letters,
So
like they are.
so we is LGBTQ. I'm go. It could go further, but that's why I'm gonna stay right now. So we lesbian, LG gay, LGB bi, Q and they say queer, but yeah, and T for trans.
And I think that sometimes people wonder, well, I know I do sometimes too, because I'll get confused on like what is appropriate and like what is offensive. Like for example, like the terms like queer versus gay, like what fits
Right.
in that umbrella, and like is everybody who's gay queer, or is it only certain genders? Like how does that
Right.
work?
For me, I ask people pronouns and what they consider themselves because I can't assume that someone is what I think they may be. It's okay to ask questions. So I think just asking questions and just being aware and not just jumping.
Yeah, and I think asking questions, like you said, is huge. I love that you mentioned pronouns because that's been in the media a little bit. I mean, when is it not? But recently, and not to get too political, but someone running for office recently said that he doesn't identify as having pronouns and people shouldn't have them. Which for me and anyone who knows basic English language knows everybody has a pronoun. Like you literally have
Right.
a pronoun. It's not something you can pick. I mean, you can own the choice of what you feel like you should be described as, but everybody has a pronoun. That's just basic English. And it's always
Right.
been just astounding to me how people can get upset at other people's choices in pronouns. Like
Mhm.
I don't know if it's like a level of naivety on my end, but it's just like, why does it bother you if that person who is a she wants to be called a they? Why does it bother you?
Right.
Especially if you know anything about mental health, which is the main focus of this
Mhm.
series, and
Mhm.
the suicide rates of LGBTQ teens and adults, and like how bad it is. Like, who cares what they want to be called? Call them they.
For
I don't.
reasons like this, right?
You're
For
right.
reasons as simple as that, it just doesn't make any sense to me. If you don't want to go by anything, by all means, don't go by it. But you cannot be upset because the next person wants to be, or that's how they feel. That's their comfortability. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because you don't understand how many people are in the community, and it's been years, and now they starting to know who they or are comfortable with coming out and showing that. So if some just be respectful. That's all. Come on now.
I know, and it feels like it should be something so simple. Like I truly sometimes don't understand. I try to remind myself that like for some people, like I'm very much like to each their own, right? And like what
Right.
other people do doesn't take away from what I like. If you're great at
Right.
this thing, it doesn't take away from my greatness. It's great. We're
Right.
both great. But I do
Right.
find that I have to remind myself that there really are a lot of people who can't and don't think that way. It's either or. Like they can't live in
Right.
a realm of both where like, oh, it might not be for me, but it's for them. It's like if it's not for me, then it's bad. And
Right.
that's the only way their mind thinks. And I feel bad for them because that sounds exhausting. Um,
It's exhausting. Like no common sense. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say it. Some people just don't have no common sense, and I'm not going to sit here and feel so and jeopardize my energy and stuff. My happiness to be angry or mean to another person. I'm just not going to do that.
yeah.
So people are just sometimes they're angry with themselves. Sometimes they have their own issues within. So that's so they put that out there. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And some people, don't get me wrong, some people was brought up like that, like just
Yeah.
angry or narcissistic, like or just what I'm saying? Just angry. So, and they come from the parents and the people that they're around. So they don't know no different. But I'm not going to make no excuses for them because as you get older, you should start like understanding and realizing certain things. Your mind should open up, right? But
Right.
everyone's not like that.
Yeah.
Everyone doesn't have the views that you and I have,
Hmm.
or they're afraid to express that.
Yeah.
So,
And I think something that's interesting too is that not that it's hard to be an ally, but people instantly think like you must be a part of the community if you speak up about it. Like I speak up a ton about LGBTQ stuff, but I'm like, but that's only because they need it, right? It pains me that we're in a time right now where things like we're 2024, things should be getting better. Instead, things are getting worse. They're more fearful for themselves. They're dealing with more
Ridiculous.
animosity. And I feel like it's even more important for those of us who feel comfortable speaking up to speak up. That's why I talk about it all the time. And I don't think you have to be specifically a part of that community to speak up for that community, especially since with any marginalized group, if someone doesn't have respect for that group, someone from that group trying to talk to them isn't going to help, right? Like if you don't like
Right.
black people, a black person telling you to respect them is not going to get respect. If you don't like fat people, a fat person telling you is not going to get that respect. Same thing with LGBTQ. If you don't like them, one of them telling
Right.
you is not going to help. You literally need the people who are on the side that they respect to say,
Right.
hey, you might want to change the way you think. Because that's the only time they're even
Right.
going to slightly listen.
Right. Right. And I'm an ally myself, and honestly, when even though when where I grew up from New York, I've seen this. I've seen this. It's been all around me, and I don't look at them any different, like LGBT or anything like that. I just look at them as people, as we all are. We all have our differences in maybe what we want to wear or how we feel.
Mhm.
Everyone is different, but also sometimes it's just, how can I say, embarrassment as far as the non allies
Mm.
of the LGBT community. Because when a lot of this stuff happened, when the trans is getting jumped, killed, and stuff like that, I'm not saying it don't happen, but a lot of times too is with groups of people that I've recognized. So like you're embarrassed because of this person, so this causes you to have this act.
Mhm.
But like I said, not to say that trans stuff don't get, like, one person killed, it happens as well, but it's also an embarrassment and a self-esteem issue, I think.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you're not secure with yourself, then it is a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Well, and
know
I think something that you mentioned before too, that sometimes some of that anger comes from you recognizing it in yourself and not wanting to. And I think that that happens a lot, like especially when on the subject, like if you know you're battling certain feelings within yourself and you don't want to be and you don't want to acknowledge it, of course you're going to be extra mad at the person who's freely living that way. Like if you, especially if you grew up religious, always being told that, like,
right,
all of that's a sin, all of it's bad, and you're over here like, well, I want to do that but I can't because I'm being good, so why do you get to do it? If I can't do it, you can't do it.
right.
I think that that's where a lot of that anger comes from also. Charles said
Honestly,
people.
that's why.
Oh no, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna read the
I was
comment.
gonna
It said,
say I'm happy that I was raised where I was raised, but everyone is not as fortunate to
mhm,
been raised around people, and still you could still be religious because, like, people still go to churches and go to other places. So it's like, it's just crazy. What the comments saying? Where we at?
it said people are ignorant and only believe the ignorance that they are taught and learn through their
Right,
environment. It's all taught behavior. It is because when you and it's sad how early it's taught. If you like,
right,
I like
right.
watching shows about like child development and things like that. Like I'm just fascinated by the brain, especially like kids' brains, and
Hmm.
it's wild at how young of an age they start to perceive things like darker is bad and lighter is better, and different like race things like, and it's just from
Hmm.
things around them, even if they haven't had those direct
Right,
conversations,
right.
just from their environment, that stuff starts seeping in, and then it gets even worse as they have those conversations.
But if a parent was really paying attention to their children and wanted to correct them, you correct them when they're young, right? So
Yep.
they won't grow up to have these thoughts, these
Yeah.
horrible thoughts about a certain community.
Yeah.
So it stems from that. And,
Yeah.
you have to nip it in the butt. You know what I mean? So you have
Yeah.
to nip that in the butt. You heard, I don't know if you hear my little grandbaby running around here, but this is why we do what we do. We try to educate the community for their generation,
Yeah.
try to make it better for them.
Hmm.
Just let them know that we're one. We're just one person. We all bleed, and then at
Hmm.
the end, is done. So why waste all your energy to be angry? It
Right.
doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. And I think people spend so much time being angry at the outside world instead of like the inside world, which they can control. I
Hmm.
talk, because this series is about mental health. I talk a little bit about my depression and how it sometimes gets bad. And one of those things is just kind of like this all overwhelming feeling of like this, everything's horrible and nothing's getting better. And the world is just like this terrible place. And something that I personally have to really do to offset that is like kind of put my blinders on in the areas that I want to focus on making a change,
Right.
making a difference, and just focus on. There's this story that I'll give the shortened version of it, but basically a guy is walking on a bridge and sees, or walking on a beach and sees a bunch of starfish, and he throws them back in one at a time. And someone walks up and he's like, "Why are you throwing in the starfish? Like, it doesn't make a difference. There's still so many." So he picks up one and he throws it back, and he's like, "I made a difference to that one. That's a difference." So like that's
Right.
where I always have to like remind myself, especially when I start to feel like overwhelmed with how bad things are. It's like
Yes.
it's okay to just focus on your small corner, on your little pocket. And if everyone actually did that, we'd have far more improvement. So like instead of like yelling at the TV or being upset that these massive changes aren't happening, like have the
Right.
conversation in your family.
Right.
So many people
Right.
are like online being keyboard warriors, but aren't sitting at the
Yeah.
dinner table having these conversations.
But it's it to go back to the depression part. Myself, I face depression as well, and I constantly, as others do, I think of, oh, is nothing's going right, but you allowed to have your moment, but you gotta, like you said, put them blockers on. You gotta know how to cut it off and try to start thinking more positively. It's so important. People just say, oh, you want to be no, mentally I need that.
Hmm.
Mentally I need that. I need to my sanity. My sanity is everything. You can't let nobody take you out your character like that. Even we human, I ain't gonna act like it don't happen sometimes, but you gotta step back into it like, all right now.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
it's just it's crazy though. But
And you
yes,
never know what people are dealing with either. Like, and
you
it's like,
never.
it's so important, like you said, to mind your mental health. Like I am being so strict with mine right now because I'm going through it. So like I don't have the mental capacity to take on anyone else's stuff. And like as it is, I'm already kind of a bleeding heart. Like I always want to help people and fix things. And like I just don't have the cap for it. And with it being like election season, I'm like, listen, I know I'm normally, because on my page I'll like try to be informative, try to share things. I'm like, I can't even pretend like there's an election happening right now because
Right,
it like every little thing I see about it just flips me over to like being
right.
upset at like the insanity of it all, like the whole situation.
Because that's life, right? That's real
Like
stuff that's happening.
it's like
You
it's too
know,
much. So I'm
it
like,
could
I'm
get
out.
it could be frustrating. That's why I gotta turn off of that. I'll keep an ear out for what's going on, but I won't really indulge too much in
Yeah,
it in
yeah.
it, mentally purposely. Like, no, I
And
can't.
you have to do that sometimes. And it's not like I don't want to be informed. And I, appreciate being informed and I appreciate being a source of information
Hmm.
for others. Like I was the civic engagement chair. Like I've always been on top of that stuff. But sometimes you really do have to put yourself first and be like, listen,
Right.
I just cannot handle the emotion that invokes in me right now. I'm not detached enough to be a part of it. And the emotion is too much for me to deal with it on top of my other stuff. So best of luck to you.
All we could do is put our stamp in there. You know what I'm saying? That's all we could do. Other than that, it was gonna go how we go. But guess what? We gotta keep focused and realize what we trying to bring to the table, and focus on that
Hmm.
and not all the other nonsense, because you are bringing something to people right now. You're bringing them information.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm bringing my information. So, sometimes we feel down, but we got to remember this is why we're here and this is why we doing what we're doing right now.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
even though we want to be selfish sometimes, we still have to extend these hands
Yeah.
because we always helping out,
Yeah.
so it's okay.
Yep, absolutely. We had some comments. Charles said, unfortunately, this world is made up of mostly followers. Izzy said, yes, which is very true. It's great that you're both in touch with what's going on, especially knowing how to handle your depression. Yes.
Yes,
Focus
we
on
have to.
positivity. Yep. And yeah, absolutely, it's okay to do that. And I'm guessing she's talking about like squaring off things that you can't handle. And that's true. And it's also why
Right,
I hate when I see people get upset with other people for not fighting for the same causes as them. Because
right,
a first of all, we can't all fight for the same thing. There's too many
right,
issues in this world. If we all focus on the same thing, nothing would get done. And there's no
right.
saying that your cause is bigger than my cause is bigger. Like just let
No, it
people
all
worry about
we
themselves.
we all helping out. We're all putting our our hands in and support into the community. So it shouldn't matter who is doing what, and you know what I mean.
Mhm.
Everybody has their positions. We all have our positions,
Yep.
So And sometimes it doubles, and it's okay because ain't just one person doing one thing. So
Right.
it's okay. So, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I love that your organization is really out there giving support for allies and those in the community. And you have an
Yes.
event coming up this weekend. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yes, we do have an event coming up. So, just to say this real quick, we have three events a year. We have the Me Festival, which usually is in August, and we have the Me Seminar, which will be in October. We moved it this year; it's going to be in October, and we have the holiday party, which will be in December. So you got to make sure y'all follow us and keep up to date with what's going on because you don't want to miss none of these events. So, because we have a great time everywhere we go, we like to we family with everyone. We just want to bring people together and just have a good time. So that's the holiday party, y'all. So make sure y'all get those tickets. But right now we have on this Saturday, actually, August the 3rd, we have the Me Festival, which is a festival that we usually, like I said, we did it yearly, but we do it on the green in Dover. Delaware. So if anyone wants to come out, come out. We have live performers, we have vendors, we have food, we have activities for the kids. We got a lot of things going on. So we want everyone to come out and just show some support.
Yes, perfect. Absolutely. Well, again, I can't thank you enough for your time to speak with me today and for all the work
Yes.
that you do in the community. You definitely make a difference. And so thank you so much for that.
Can Thank you so much for having me. Also, we will, if you want to get more information on the Me Festival, we have a live stream. We've been having it since Monday. We're having it till tomorrow at 8 p.m. You could come on, tune in, and find out what's going on more in depth with the Me Festival. So that's tonight and tomorrow at 8 p.m. You can follow me as well with all the
Perfect.
updates. Or I'm sorry, go to our website, www.imecorp.org, and check out all the events on there as well. You could contact me, Latoya at imecorp.org, if you have any questions.
Perfect. We'll include those links as well. Well, thank you again so much for
Thank
tuning
you.
in, and thank you everyone who's tuning in at home as well.
Thanks,
And have
everybody. Thanks for
a
having
great
me
night,
again.
of course.